Most people who overseed their lawn and they think they're doing everything right, yet it still fails.
Yep.
Chances are it's not usually the seed.
It's somebody rushing the job so he can get to the pub.
Every year, thousands of people buy a bag of grass seed, scatter it on the lawn, or water it in, watch it grow, and absolutely nothing happens.
Or worse, it germinates, comes up patchy, and dies off in a fortnight. A bit like somebody's attention span.
Or my gym routine. They blame the weather, they blame the soil, they blame the seed, but the real question is something they probably never even considered.
It's impatience.
I was going to say that.
Well, you're taking too long. Impatience kills more overseeding jobs than anything, than bad soil, bad seed, or bad weather combined. It's not that people are lazy, they just skip the boring bits so they can get the seed on the ground.
Absolutely. And then every problem stacks up against them till the whole lot fails. A little trick, nature will tell you whenever it's safely time to overseed your lawn. Whenever you start to see your trees and your shrubs budding, then it's time to overseed your lawn. One of the biggest mistakes people make whenever they go to overseed their lawn is doing it either too early in the spring, whenever there's frost hanging about, or alternatively later on in the autumn. The soil temperature needs to be consistently 8 to 10 degrees for seed to germinate. Another big mistake people make is throwing the grass seed just down on the ground and expecting it to grow. Failing to prepare, preparing to fail. So if you just throw it down there, that's not going to grow. So by not preparing the surface, the grass seed will probably fail. If you just throw the grass seed out, that's not going to grow. So our next step, let's go and get the lawn ready so we can start doing some overseeding. This next tip goes against probably what you've been taught about scalping your lawn down before overseeding. I generally don't do it, as I believe that it opens the surface up and lets weeds and weed seeds and weed grasses encroach into your lawn whenever you're doing your overseeding. I have a learning hub on the iGrow Carpet website, 100% free to use. It's a lawn care academy, master classes, courses, lawn calculators. We have calculators to help you work out how much seed you need, how much top dressing you need, how much fertilizing you need. Best of all, it's all free to use and it helps you cost out your project for your own lawn. So our next task is we're going to do some scarifying. A lot of time I'll also recommend aeration. For any beginners joining us, what aeration is, it's the process of putting small little holes in your lawn. Aeration can be really good whenever you're overseeding, because if you think of all those thousands or millions of little holes across your lawn as little tiny plant pots, we're not doing that today because the lawn was aerated a couple of weeks ago. So now we're going to do some scarifying, and the scarifying is going to help create lines in the soil, and that's going to give the seed somewhere safe to grow.
So you can see here, we're a little bit more aggressive down the edges because that's where weeds come into the lawn.
For any of the beginners watching us, this is a selection of some of the material that's come out of the lawn. It's just some dead growth and dead grass, and removing it helps the lawn breathe. Before we start into clearing up, now these big rakes are fantastic because they flick the grass up. They're really good for protecting your back.
Yeah.
But tell me this here, do you actually, loads of people say you don't need to overseed every year. Do you need to overseed or not?
It's down to your lawn, whether it needs overseeding.
So I'm going to let you into a secret. You don't actually need to overseed every year.
No.
I have hundreds of customers that don't overseed every year, but I'm going to tell you maybe why you should overseed every year. So if you're into your lawn care, it really, really pays to overseed. And there's one big reason for that. What is that?
Weed grasses.
100%. It helps stop weed grasses come into your lawn. It gives you a nice, thick lawn.
Yep.
That is the main reason why I overseed my own lawn every year. Although lots of people say, he overseeds his lawn every year. Yeah, you don't have to. No, you don't have to.
we do this lawn for you guys.
Yeah, so we overseed it every year because we can show you how to do it. But also it helps keep the weed grasses out of our lawn. Helps keep a nice thick lawn. It is nature's best defense at stopping weeds coming into your lawn, 100%. Now let's get this lifted. there such a thing as the wrong type of lawn? This lawn here is a bent fescue lawn. Let me show you. So on this core that came out of the lawn, we have our soil, we have our thatch, and then this grass here is very, very matty. So for the majority of lawns, unless you're cutting with a cylinder lawnmower, if you're cutting with a cylinder lawnmower, an ornamental bent fescue lawn is absolutely beautiful. If you're just cutting with a rotary lawnmower, so a rotary lawnmower is a lawnmower that goes round and round, you want one of the more modern grasses like your dwarf rye and some fescue, but you don't want this here, because you have that level of thatch. Now, this thatch doesn't happen overnight. This will be a number of years of growth, but this is why I don't recommend using the ornamental mixes for an everyday lawn. Come round here to try and break down and explain some misconceptions that you'll often hear about ryegrass. Ryegrass is actually native to the UK. It's been here for thousands of years. It's in all our fields. Go to any farmland and you're going to see lots of ryegrass. So why do people say that ryegrass isn't native to the UK? Because dwarf rye isn't. That's the type of grass that we recommend that goes into your lawn. They're everyday mixes that you would typically see for different applications. So golf greens, or even now sowing dwarf rye into the greens, but that's a side note. But you'd see it in tennis courts, golf courses, lawns, and everything in between, because it's been engineered to suit specific applications such as lawns. However, the grass in this field is growing so as it feeds cattle and sheep, so it grows fast and strong. So whenever you can choose the right type of grass seed for your lawn, or if you're making the right choice of grass seed for your lawn, then that's going to have a massive implication on how your lawn turns out. Today we're going to be using Boston Seeds Premier Mix. Big stadiums relay because it has to be perfect every time. Your lawn doesn't need that. It just needs the right care at the right time. I wish I had a pound for every time I could ask this, what's the best grass seed for my lawn? So hopefully after this, I'm going to teach you a really basic guide on how grass spreads, and you'll be able to help figure out the way grass grows. So your first type of grass, let's start with ryegrass. So draw a line across here. This line represents the soil or the ground. Underneath your lawn, you have your roots growing. And then on top, you have your grass. And this area here, this is called the crown. On ryegrass, your grass grows from the base. And then you come along, cut your grass, and it tillers and it thickens up naturally. You really want a grass seed that has more than one different type of variety in it, so as it covers multiple different things. So the grass seeds that we use, it has 80% of the rye in it, and it has 20% of creeping red fescue. So to explain to you how the creeping red fescue works, so we'll have our roots going down, we'll have our plant growing up, and then it spreads by rhizomes. So rhizomes grow underneath the ground, and then it pops up a new plant, and then it goes in the other direction. But these move slowly through the soil and grow. They're not really aggressive. So if the ryegrass starts to thin out a little bit in the winter, this is where the creeping red fescue comes in. Or if your garden weakens, or maybe you have a bit of shade, because fescue is really good at shade. So our next option, you'll often hear people say, and people say this is a benefit behind it. This is why I don't like bent grass. So bent grass spreads by stolons. Let me explain that to you. So we'll have our roots, and then we have our plant. And then Matron's not very good. But then at the top, it has the stolons, and it pushes out laterally, and then it grows into a node, and then that node above ground turns into another plant and grows, and here it pushes down. So this works really well on ornamental lawns because it grows that really thick mat. And then whenever you verticut it, so you come along and you cut, they then turn into extra plants. So that's why for ornamental lawns, being cut with your cylinder more and verti cut to thicken up, and it makes for an absolutely amazing lawn. But for an everyday lawn, this here and this here, the bents and the fescues create a lot of thatch. So unlike especially our more modern grasses or dwarf rye, they don't create the same amount of thatch. But these ones here have a big thatch layer here and a big thatch layer here. And that's why the fescues and the bents, particularly the fescue, responds well to being cut short. Otherwise, you get that long, straggly growth that you've seen in my clip before. And that's why I always recommend this here for lawns. Now, you'll hear some people say, I put in a bent fescue lawn and there's not a lot of thatch in it. It takes a few years for that to develop. It doesn't just happen overnight. Should you cover your grass seed with material, top dress it or not? As the seeds start to germinate, you could clearly see the bits that were covered and the bits that weren't covered. So this is the topsoil that we use, lawn seeding soil. It's actually designed for what we're doing it for. We've found this to be really good. One of the best things about this stuff is that it's heat treated, so you're not bringing any weeds into the lawn. How do you get it on the lawn? Can't recommend compost rollers enough. Just go onto Amazon and find one that fits your budget. Quick repair grass seed boxes, you get 9 times out of 10 what they are. They're back to our field grass. The fescues that are growing, they're going to bred quickly, so the grass grows fast, but it's not a very pretty type of grass. And often whenever you use it, you'll probably regret using it later on, because it'll be like an uglier type of ryegrass. It'll not be like the dwarf rye that you get in the premium mixes. So that's what I'd say about using the quick repair kits. Another benefit behind using the soil opposed to compost, you're going to get some leveling from this, although that's not why we're doing it. We're not doing it so we can level the lawn, but you're going to see in a minute a quick way how we work this material into the lawn, and that's the benefit behind soil or a loam opposed to compost. If you use a compost, it's really good for your soil, your overall soil plant health, but you can't level your lawn with it. That's the downside, because as it rots down, then it's not going to level. So the beauty behind the compost roller, it stops all this stuff here finding its way onto your lawn. There's a stone. So really good. Go ahead, Jason, in the bin. Any new people watching this is a tool. We've made this a few years ago. It's made from a mat. I'll drop a link to it down in the video description. This is really good. So this is just one of these mats, a broom handle, some cable ties, a bit of rope and a bit of tubing just to work it in. After we get the lawn overseeded and even the top dressing done, but there's still other things that you can get wrong, and that's what we're going to cover soon. Next job is to use some pre-seeder. I go carpet. Go ahead, Jason. You put in your new lawn, you've done all the work, and then you don't water it enough. So these are just some nice easy tips to make sure that you water your lawn properly. Always use a sprinkler and water your lawn first thing in the morning. Now, watering your lawn at 6 a.m. is a perfect time to do it. And the best thing to do with that is to get yourself a water timer, set it and forget it. For the first 4 to 6 weeks, it needs to be watered every day, especially if there's no rain. In the autumn time, there's less need to water, depending on the conditions local to yourself. You've watered your lawn and it's starting to grow, and the rest of your lawn's growing, and you're thinking to yourself, when do I need to cut my grass? Something very easy and simple to follow is called the 1/3 rule. Let's say my arm is a blade of grass. You never want to take any more than 1/3 off it. Your grass makes and stores its energy partly in that leaf. And whenever you cut away too much, then you're taking away the grass's ability to make and store that grass. So that's particularly true for new grass seed. So you don't want to cut your new grass too short, too soon. When to put on weed killer onto your lawn, not just this weed killer, any weed killer in general. This question comes up all the time, and I always see people overseeding their lawn and then they have weeds in their lawn and they go out and put weed killer on it and it dies. I also run a lawn treatment service and we treat hundreds of lawns every year. Now, what I recommend for my own customers is that we recommend that you leave 6 months between seeding and putting on weed control. Even though it'll say on the label, you can do it sooner. Now, different products you can do at different times. So RTFM, if you really want to know, have a look at the label of the application of the product you're going to be using. We've talked about how to get your new seed off to the best start. Whenever it starts to grow, you're going to use these products here to get it really green. Now, if you want to find out more about that, we covered it in this video here. It's one of our test patch videos. We'll see you over there next.